about Sedom as evil, right? Sedom and Amorah, like evil, sadistic, cruel people, terrible people. We have a very, very wrong definition of what defines good and bad. Sedom was not evil in that sense. They were wicked. God comes to destroy them. But you know why? There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. The Mishnah is chapter 5, verse number, Mishnah number 10. There are 4 character types among men. You want to read it, Stanley? Read chapter 10. The 4 character types among men, right? What? It's not there. I'm reading a quote from Mishnah, from Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers.
He will say, "What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine." Is an ignorant.
Someone who says, someone who says,
"What's mine is yours."
Right, and yours is mine. So he's just confused. He's ignorant, right? He has no boundaries. He has no appreciation of right and wrong, of what belongs to who, right?
Right or wrong, or
no, of boundaries, of
possession,
of privacy, of boundaries.
Isn't that the same thing in marriage? That's what they say in marriage. Like, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine.
In marriage, this is talking about 2 people. It's talking me and you. Okay, so that's fine. What's the next one?
He will say, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours.
Okay, so mine is mine. What's yours is yours. What's that?
This is a median characteristic.
Okay, makes sense. It's normal, right? I'm to me, you're to you, and we all lead our own lives, and everyone's happy. Some say.
Some say this is the characteristic of the people of Sedom.
This is the characteristic of the people of Sedom. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. This is Sedom. Continue. Just to prove that they're not wicked. Go on.
What's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours, is a chassid, pious, benevolent person.
A chassid, a righteous person, someone says, what's mine is yours. What's yours is yours. That's a chassid, that's a righteous person. And the last one?
What's yours is mine, and what's mine is a wicked person.
What's yours is mine, right? And what's mine is mine. So I want not only what I have, I want what you have too, is a Russia. Okay, so what do we see over here? Sedom is not a Russia. A Russia is someone that wants to steal yours. That's a Russia. I want your thing. That's evil. That's wicked. That's cruel. What's mine is mine. What's yours is mine is wicked. Sedom. Yeah, many people are like that. Not only Arab dictators. All communism is like that, right? What's communism? What's Russia? What's China? I mean, not China today. I mean, the
like that.
Communist government? Sure. What do you think communism is?
They don't let you.
Communism is.
I thought communism was we share with everyone.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they tell you. But
Russia.
Listen carefully. What's yours is mine. You have no possessions. But what's mine is mine.
that right.
So okay, in a communism, how does that work in a government? What's mine is mine, that part, what's mine?
The government officials have their own thing that you can't touch. But what you have, I can come and take it. Yeah, that's yeah. Still like that, of course still like that. Sure still like that. You go to, until today, go to North Korea. What do you think it is North Korea?
How come they're not destroyed like Sedom? Because they're not Jewish?
I mean, God gives people, even Sedom lasted for a long time. Eventually, they all get their due punishment. Happens to all of them. I mean, you look at where most big communist governments have gone. Look where Stalin is today. They have their end. Here's what I want to point out. Let me make the point. Sedom is not wicked people that want yours. What's Sedom?
Medium.
Sedom is not greedy. It's people that say, what's mine is mine. It's yours is yours.
They don't want yours. They just want to keep theirs and not share it. That's all.
They don't want to share. That's right. They're so self-absorbed, self-centered, self-indulgent. They're completely oblivious to anyone outside of them. And so therefore they're able to justify and to rationalize and to explain and make laws to justify their lack of morality. It's not what I mean. I'm being moral. I'm following the laws of our land. This is Sedom. This is, in some ways, even worse. This is a country that God's going to have to destroy.
Wow.
It's very powerful. The Gemara says in a few different places that in a business deal, the rabbis have the power, koifin a person, to force a person not to act in the way of Sedom. What's the example the Gemara brings in a few different places? Zenena the zelechasa, which means this one gains and this one doesn't lose. So for example, the example the Gemara gives, let's say I have an empty house, an empty field, right? That I do not use to rent it out. And you come and you stay in my house. And I don't have any damage from that. You slept in my field. I wouldn't have rented it anyway. Didn't cost me anything. So you gained by staying in my house, and I didn't lose. If I want to come charge you rent, so now I'm trying to make money on something which you gained that didn't cost me anything. Not if it's a means of parnasa, not if I have the property to rent it. But if it's something that I can do a favor for you that doesn't cost me anything, and I refuse to do it, that is the definition of the midah of Sedom, of the attribute of the people that lived in Sedom. Where Zenena, you're gaining, I'm not l'chasser, I'm not missing anything. And yet, I refuse to let you have any pleasure, even though it doesn't cost me anything. That is Sedom. Contrast that to the Chabad convention that just ended yesterday. What is the epitome of a chassid? It says over there. Chassid is someone who says, what's yours is yours. What's mine is also yours. It's a beautiful hayom yom. Beautiful teaching from the Rebbe that says that the older Chassidim used to say that your bread, so we have to word down. What's miner is deiner. What's mine is yours. And what's mine?
Mine is deiner.
Yeah, but they would say yours first.
Yours is. Oh, I haven't spoken Yiddish in such a long time.
But that
I forgot the guy.
statement is a little bit, Rabbi, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That statement is a little bit very powerful, meaning that what's mine is yours means like everything that I have is yours.
Want to call up?
It doesn't make any sense.
Not even a little.
If you're sharing something, but not everything. When you say what's mine is yours, in other words, whatever is mine is all yours.
Yeah.
Should I call
That doesn't make any sense.
No, I've told them to try the exact phrase. No, something that says mine it is that was something about the bread. So my bread is your bread, and they would say it's your. I don't know exactly. They would say something first. I should have looked it up before. Yeah, the point is not that you. The point, if you have a real friend, right? Yeah. Or for a child, say for example, do anything for the child, right? Mm-hmm. That means everything you have you give to the child. No. But is there anything you wouldn't give for your child?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's something you wouldn't give for your child.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, like I would do anything.
What?
For
Materialistic, money, what?
Whatever it is, if your kid needed something, you do anything they needed. Doesn't mean that you,
because you know it's not good for them.
right. So when you're saying no, it's not because you're depriving the child; it's because you're giving the child. You're giving the child through teaching the child to work on his own. You're giving the child for teaching him you can't get everything you want in life. Okay. That's a way of teaching a child. It's a way of giving a child. The point is that giving for your child, everything you have is for your child. Right. Doesn't mean you give everything to your child. Okay. But it means in your mindset, your mentality is such that everything I have, there's nothing I wouldn't not give to my child. If a really close friend is the same thing. Right. Someone who you really care about, whatever they need, you would do. You wouldn't do it for them. So this has to be the mentality of every Jew. If you need something, I'm there to help you. It says the example given is that a chassid burns his nails. So another Mishnah Pirkei Avos talks about different ways of disposing of a nail. Because a nail, fingernails, could be dangerous. If a pregnant woman steps on a fingernail or a toenail, it can cause her to miscarry. So different ways of disposing of it. So the chassid burns the nails. Why does he burn them? That's a way of destroying them that's impossible so anyone should ever step on them. So why is that an act of a chassid? Because it explains that it's Kabbalistically, there's a danger in burning nails. And yet, Kabbalistically, it's dangerous to burn nails. Because the nails are where the forces of impurity live. The tumah of a person, the impurity of a person is specifically in the nails. So you have to wash your hands. That's why when a person washes his hands in the morning, when you're dead, so when you're asleep, it's as if you're 1/60th of death, and therefore your body is impure. When you wake up, that impurity leaves you, but it's saved by the fingernails, so we have to wash our hands. And in the temple, they would wash their feet. We cover our feet. We don't wash them. If we touch our feet during prayer, whatever, you have to wash your hands afterwards. So, there's a certain spiritual danger in burning nails, and yet a chassid is willing to risk himself to a certain extent to be able to help somebody else. If you look at what Chabad did, the Rebbe took families, the Rebbe took couples, and he didn't just say become a rabbi. He didn't just open up community centers and all that. The Rebbe took real people, real families, and sent them into far forsaken, corners of the earth where they had nothing. You have shluchim that are single shluchim in the entire country. In the whole country, they're the only Chabad rabbi. They're the only religious person. Imagine being a Chabad rabbi in Congo. Yeah, the Chabad rabbi in Congo. Or in Mumbai, India. I was in Mumbai, India, by Rabbi Holtzberg, who's his yard site was 5 years ago today. Imagine you live in such a place. There's no one that's remotely, on your level, your friendship. How do you raise kids? Education. You're risking, and in some ways, you're putting your own personal needs not only on a second back burner. You're directly hurting your private needs in order to help somebody else. Completely selfless sacrifice. This is Abraham. You look at the contrast between what we read in last week's class and this week's class. The verse before, it's not in our class. It's the same chapter. It's the same verses. You look at verse number, the whole beginning of the chapter. What's the beginning of the chapter? You have a man who's 100 years old, who is in tremendous pain. He just had a circumcision 3 days ago. And he's running to feed some strangers who he has no idea who they are. He's running, he's standing over them. He personally, 3 days after his birth, at the age of 100 years old, is serving strangers. His wife, 90 years old, is willing to bake the food. When 90 years old, they didn't have slaves and servants and maids. They did have. Abraham was a fabulously wealthy man. He couldn't afford. He was able to afford 3 cows for his guests. He could afford a waiter to serve them. But he wanted the mitzvah himself. He was the epitome of sacrifice to give to someone else. Then you go one verse later, here you have the city of Sedom. The ultimate of selfishness. Selfishness. The ultimate, from selflessness to the ultimate of selfishness. Of just not evil, not jealous, not trying to still be greedy. It's greedy, but it's not a evil kind of greedy in modern day social standards. It's a self-absorbed, leave me alone, give me what I want.
So it's better for me to stay at home.
That's not being
But then
That sounds like Sedom. The ultimate of justification and rationalization, that maybe I'll get into an accident, and maybe I'll drop it, and maybe this, and explain it, and justify it, and legalize it. That's what Sedom did. And on paper, they were right.
So what to do? To go and risk my life?
Risk your life. I mean, everything is risking your life.
You have to keep it, right?
I promised them to come, but I'm exhausted. I'm
So
exhausted.
the discussion now is not about promising. A is the fact that you promised. But besides the fact that you promised, when does a mitzvah really count? When is it really kindness? When it's easy for you? When you're bored and you have nothing else to do, so you're going to go help your friend, because otherwise you just sit home and watch TV out of boredom. That's not a great act of kindness. That's self-serving almost, because you want to go be friends with her. True helping, true giving, true selflessness is specifically when you're not in the mood, specifically when you're tired, and you still go to help her, not because it's what you want, but because it's what she wants. That's the real act of kindness. We're gonna learn in a second how Avram.
You cannot be selfish.
In that case, I'm going to be in hell, man. I'm going to hell.
It's only 11 months.
So
The
to your
ne-
answer, you cannot be selfish then.
Ideally, you shouldn't be selfish. Obviously, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not perfect, obviously, but yes, sometimes it's important. A lot of times we talk about like these holy men, big chassadim and big tzaddikim. You can't pick and choose. One side. A lot of times we talk about holy people. I'm never going to reach the level of this and Eminov, or talk about holy Jews that were spiritual giants who spent hours a day praying and who were totally oblivious to the physical world. So why do we say stories from them? At least you should know what to aspire to. don't think that just because you can justify your actions, it's good. You should recognize that there's actually a much higher ideal. Maybe I'll never make it all the way up there, but I'm aiming to get there. That's my direction. That's my outlook. If the outlook is what I'm doing is good, you're for sure never going to become better. You're only going to get worse. Guaranteed. With time, with age, with repetition, each time you indulge yourself, you become naturally more self-indulgent. Every time you're more lazy, you naturally become more lazy. It's a fact. Like anything. Every time you think, you make your brain smarter. You can strengthen the muscle. Every time you do something out of laziness, or you don't do something out of laziness, you inherently make your nature more of a lazy nature. Habit, what is habit? Habit becomes nature. So if you get in the habit of not helping people, you become a not helping person. That's why it explains a beautiful concept about charity, for example. That it's better, the Rambam writes, it's better to give every day $1 to charity than it is to give $100 to charity once a year. Once a year, obviously, every day is much more than $100. Let's say it's better to give $300, instead of giving a check for $360 on Rosh Hashanah, it's better if every single day you put $1 in the charity box. Why?
Because you remember it every day?
Now remember, by giving every day, you make your habit to become a giving person. If you write a one-time check of $360, you wrote a one-time check out of guilt because Yom Kippur was coming. Very nice. You have not changed your personality. You have not made yourself a more giving, caring, kind person. But if every day you go and take out your wallet and you take out $1 of your money and you put it into a charity box, you begin to train yourself to be a more giving, caring, considerate person. The amount of money is the same, but it's the repetition that makes it a habit, that makes it your nature.
One,
I'm going to tell you a story. I'm thinking of two stories on this. I'll tell you one, because it's different. I think it was with Nachum Chernobyl, who was a great Hasidic Rebbe. And money was tight in his Hasidic court. And one day a very wealthy man comes into his office, gives him a large donation of 500 ruble. 500 ruble, 5,000 ruble maybe. So a large donation, right? And the gabbai, you know what the gabbai is? The attendant who is in charge of the affairs or the finances. So he hears this big chassid, this very wealthy guy came. The guy meets him outside the office, says, I just left the rabbi, 500 ruble. It's under control. He's very excited. And the day is over. He finishes all the private audiences. The gabbai comes to the Rebbe's office to collect the money to go make a deposit or whatever. Go pay the bills. He opens all where the money is. He sees like 20, 30 rubles there. He says, hold on a second. Everyone would come and give it, when people would write a pon, would write a letter to the Rebbe, they would also give charity. But you only gave a ruble, 5 ruble to them. People were poor. He said, where's the 500 ruble? Whatever, I think it was 500. 500 we think 500 is not a lot of money, but 500 ruble was a lot of money. So what happened to the 500 ruble that the guy bought? So the Rebbe said, I gave it all to this other very poor chassid that came to me today that needed the money for his daughter. The Rebbe says, what? You gave all of it to that poor guy? So he says, yeah, all 500. To one person. So what about us? Your family doesn't count as charity? Your family doesn't have food. We have debts, we have bills. What about us? What about your own family? So the Rebbe told him, I'll tell you what happened. Right before this rich chassid came to me, this poor man came to me, and he poured out his heart and he cried to me how he's desperate for money. He has 2 daughters that are not able to get married because in those days you need a dowry, you need to pay for the wedding. He has his daughters sitting home, they can't get married. The 3rd daughter's going to be marriage old age. They don't know what to do. He needs money for a wedding, he needs money for a dowry, he needs expenses and to buy wedding gowns. So I asked him, how much do you need? So I need 500 ruble. It's 200, I need 500 ruble. That's what he needed. I felt bad, I couldn't go home, I don't have the money. I said, okay. I gave him a blessing. He walked out. Next guy comes to my office and gives me 500 ruble. Wow. And the first thought that pops into my head is, now I have money to give this poor guy that just happened. He came to me, needs 500 ruble. Here's the 500 ruble. Then right away another voice comes to my head and says, hold on a second, slow down. Why should you give all 500 to one guy? What about your own family? Well, you also need money. You're also poor. And hey, let's say even if you don't take, he's the only poor chassid you know. Shmuel also needs money, and this poor guy also needs charity. A lot of charity cases. So why should you give all to one person? Maybe give 100 to him, 100 to this guy. Take 100 for yourself. Give yourself some, so you don't take all for yourself. It's time to give some to charity, but maybe split a half. And so all of a sudden I was torn. All these different thoughts were going through my head. I didn't know what to do. So I stopped Yechidus. I stopped singing with people. And I started thinking in my mind, I was torn. What's the right thing to do? Should I give all 500 to him? Or should I give some to him and some to some other poor people and some for myself? And then I realized as follows. I should give all 500 to him. Why? He said, what was the first thought that came into my head? The very first thought that came into my head was to give him the 500 ruble. Where did that thought come from? Did it come from my Yetzer Hara or my Yetzer Tov? Did it come from the good within me or the bad within me? Definitely from the good. My bad inclination didn't come with a thought, give 500 rubles to someone else. So what happened after the good thought came? The next thought to come was opposite the evil thought coming to take away from the good thought. So the evil thought coming, well, you're also poor, you also need charity. Why should you give all to one person? Maybe we should divide it, etc., etc. I realized my Yetzer Hara would never tell me to give charity to other people if it wasn't trying to take away from a bigger mitzvah. So I realized I have to give all 500 ruble to this poor guy. Then, that's a Rebbe who was able, who needed the money. It wasn't that he had them, he needed it himself. But it saw a sign from God, he has to give the money to this person. There's many other such stories of people that gave everything to help a poor person. The famous story with a tailor who traveled around from city to city. He was like a traveling tailor. He was struggling like a tailor. They struggled to make a living. How much money can a tailor make in town? So him and his friend, they had a chap idea. Why are we sitting in the same little town with the same few people? Let's go travel to all the very, very forsaken inns and catchments on the road and all that, where people don't have a tailor nearby. They have a lot of stuff probably sitting in the closet waiting to be tailored. We'll come and get all their stuff. We'll stay there for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and then we'll move and we'll go to the next place. Great idea. They say goodbye to their families. They go traveling for 6 months around the countryside, all these little cities and villages and isolated homes in the forest to make a very, very good living. They come back 6 months, they're almost on the way home, and they really made a lot of money. They stopped. There was one town before they come, and there's a wealthy parrot there. And the parrot said, you're tailors? I need you to come. My daughter is getting married, and I need clothing for whatever. The wedding's coming up, and I don't have enough tailors. Stay here. If you can get everything done in time, I'll give you each, 500 or whatever. Also a large amount of money. Anyway, but there was 1,000 ruble if you do it. So they're very excited. This is a huge opportunity. They work day and night for 2 weeks. They're working, and they manage to finish on time before the wedding, all the new garments for all the family, etc. They're very excited. They're going to get paid 1,000 ruble. And one of them asks in the palace, they were living in the palace for the last 2 weeks, working and sewing in the basement. He heard the cries of a family. They were leaving. They saw a family who had just been arrested, a Jewish family. The pirates had the right to do anything they wanted. Any of their tenants, killed them, imprisoned them. Here was a Jewish family, followed them behind on the rent, and they were more and more behind in the debt. So finally the pirates said, if you don't pay the rent, you're going to jail. So couldn't pay. So the pirates are taking them to jail. How they're going to pay the rent in jail, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, there's how many such stories. Here you see the two tailors, see this family, father and mother and 10 kids, being led to prison, to a dungeon. Sit there in the dungeon until they pay the rent, which is never going to happen. So one of the tailors asks the part, how much is the rent? What do they owe? 500 ruble. So he turns to his friend and says, perfect. We just got paid 1,000 ruble. Let's give half of what we made to this family. And the other guy said, are you crazy? I'm not giving half. I just worked for 2. I'm not giving half of what we just made. I have to go home to my family. I haven't seen them in 6 months. I'm going home now. I'm bringing them whatever I have. No. He says, let's half. No. Finally says, you know what? The other two says, I can't let them go. I'm going to give them my whole half. 500 is mine. I'm giving them everything on my half. We'll split to free them. The other two says, you're crazy, you're Meshuggah. He refuses to listen. He gives them the entire 500 ruble, his whole entire portion. He comes home penniless. Everything he made, gave to save this poor family. Comes home. He had no job, he had no nothing. He ended up like a beggar. Until one day, the guy gave him, was begging for services, and the guy was going to a very big business deal. He said, do you a favor, give him charity. A lot of them give a blessing, and you give charity. The beggar says, She blessed the school. She said, give me a blessing. I have a big business deal today. Something that sounds like a good luck before a business deal. Says, give me a blessing for my business deal. So this beggar gives him a blessing for success in his business deal. The business deal goes great. Beyond whatever he imagined, it goes better. Next week is another deal. And again, he's going to sing on the morning. Knows it's a big deal that day. He's meeting a big client. And again, he sees the beggar sitting in front of the shoulder. He says, give me another blessing. Here's a big donation. Give me a bigger blessing. Gives him a blessing. Great. Anyway, now because it becomes a custom, this guy every day before he goes to work, and he has a deal coming up, has a thing, comes to this beggar, gives him some charity, give me a blessing. Next thing, he becomes very, very rich. Soon he starts telling his friends, now you want to know what the secret to success is? That beggar. His blessings, one of the 36 hidden tzaddikim. Go give him money, he'll bless you, you're going to be good. Next thing you know, word gets around, this is the miraculous beggar, and soon there's a line waiting outside the synagogue to give this guy blessings. Until the Halakid, I think it was the Mendel of Rimenov. Great, great holy Rebbe. Here's about this beggar that gives a blessing, and now the whole town knows already. Now this blessing gives you a blessing, this beggar gives you a blessing, guaranteed success. He calls this beggar to his shul, his office, says, tell me the secret that you have such a power to bless. He says, nothing, I'm a regular simple beggar. I'm not a scholar, I'm not a Talmud Chacham, I'm an unlearned guy, I don't know how to study. He says, oh, tell me what mitzvah you did to earn such a blessing. And he told him that he'd given the charity. Whatever he had made, he gave his entire half to save this poor couple from going to prison. He said, that's the merit. And because of that, God has blessed you with the ability to give blessings. Then became very, that's what he did. He would still give blessings. He was very, very well-known tzaddik in his own right.
Is he still alive?
No, this is a few hundred years ago. It's in Mendel of Rimenov. So, obviously that's a high level of selflessness. That's Avraham. Avraham is our forefather, and Avraham imbued it within every single Jew as an inheritance, that we are able to have that kind of selflessness. And the same is true with Hasidim of the Rebbe. The Rebbe was the ultimate epitome of selflessness. Time before he had a heart attack, and through Chodesh Kislev, the day he was healed, the day he had his heart attack, he did not, it was Shmini, it was Hoshana Rabbah. There was a custom, Hoshana Rabbah, to eat honey cake. So a lot of guests would come just for Simchas Torah. So whoever didn't get before Yom Kippur honey cake, will get Simchas Torah. All day he was standing, all day. First I would let people shake his lulav and esrog. After that he would stand and giving out, 1,000 people giving out a piece of honey cake. And everyone giving a blessing. It was very, very late. And the Rebbetzin actually called the secretaries that day to make sure he finishes early to come home and eat, because I know the Rebbe is not feeling well. He has to come home to eat before service and before your holiday starts. They were trying to push him to leave, and the Rebbe didn't want to leave. He wanted to give more and more. They finished the line. And the Rebbe comes and asks, no one else is coming, no one else is coming. And just another bus came from like Brighton Beach or something, with another whole bus came for the holiday. They were said to give them. The Rebbe didn't go home to eat. And that night he had a heart attack. That's the ultimate. The Rebbe was the ultimate epitome of someone who gave his life day and night for other Jews.